Welcome back to Carson's in downtown Maryville on the KXCV KRNW Bearcat Coaches Show. We are broadcasting live a day earlier than normal due to Bearcat basketball coming up tomorrow night out at Bearcat Arena. Joined now by the head coach of the Northwest Missouri State Bearcat men's and women's tennis teams in Mark Rosewell. And Mark, while it's kind of the off-season for you in some respects, still some news coming out of the Bearcat program with the national rankings out on the men's side.
Yeah, John, they just really came out in the last week, but these are just basically results that come from the fall. They're doing it a little bit different this year where they would rank with the teams and the individuals. Now they're just ranking the individuals and then the team stuff on the second ranking, which is usually February or whatever. But there's some good things happening there.
I just talk about how Northwest fares in this first ranking here.
Well, in the singles, we have two young men, and, we've got a lot of new faces this year. We lost a lot of players from last year's team, but a young man, Raul, is from Tyler Junior College, and he's ranked 7th in the region, which is very good. And then our senior, Joe Altman from Costa Rica, is ranked 14th, but in doubles, we have two teams ranked in the top 10 in the region in doubles. Number 2 is Jorge Sorrell, and then Yusuf Sharif, and they're also ranked 13th in the country. So they almost won the ITA, first time they'd ever played together, so we're excited about that. And then we got another doubles team ranked about 7th or 8th. So, where we rank in team, I can give you an educated guess. I'd say probably third or fourth, somewhere in there. And I'd say the women would probably be around 5th or 6th, being fair on that.
Well, that's always good to see those rankings come out and know that you've got some players that a lot of other teams consider top players as well. So I imagine that makes you feel good there.
Yeah, it really does. And we've actually, on the men's side, there's two players, one from Washburn, one from Southwest Baptist, but they're ranked in the top 5 or 6 in the country, which I can't remember the last time that's happened. It's been a long time. So that shows you a lot about our conference and our region.
Yeah, it seems like the conference is just getting better every year.
It really is, John. Just like in all the sports. It's gotten so much tougher. Even in the time that I've coached, it just got better and better. We keep adding more and more teams, and the level goes up, the facilities go up, everything, and that basically makes better teams, and that shows it with all the national champions and such that are coming out of our league.
What are some of the reasons you see that tennis is getting much better in the conference? Is it just better coaching, better facilities, different things like that, and bringing in a lot of these players into the conference?
Well, a lot of things, but you start with facilities, and we got our courts resurfaced this year and added a couple courts. Well, we took some, but anyway, it turned out very well, and that's a good thing for us. Now Washburn is doing a complete renovation on their facility, and there's a couple other schools, and we know all about all the indoor facilities. Now some of them have indoor tennis courts, some do not. But, a lot of places where they don't, they have indoor clubs, and they're like St. Joe and Topeka and some of these places. So that's one thing. Another thing is, more and more scholarships. When you and I played, there weren't any scholarships. You went out and you played, basically it was kind of on a club status. In some areas it was varsity sport, but it was just a whole lot different. And we found now that if you're going to be competitive, you have to have the scholarships to get the good players. And, our league has done that, and we've gone to that, and we've funded it properly. Budget as far as, traveling and playing the teams that you have. One of the reasons that we've had rankings all these years and so forth is we've had the opportunity to play a lot of these teams in the Midwest, and that's helped us.
You talked a little bit about the upgrade in the courts on the Groovy courts down by Colden Pond and that area. Added a couple courts there to have 6 all in one spot, and we've talked in the past on the show about what a fantastic job they've done resurfacing the 4 courts that were there and then adding the 2 new courts. but also I talk just a bit about some of the other plans you have for that facility. It looks like that's just kind of the start of some things that hopefully will be going on there.
Yeah, well, when we lost the high-rise courts, we also lost our lights out there. So, we're hoping to raise the money in order to get some lights in there, because we're going to need them for our matches now with 6 courts or whatever, because, it gets dark at 5:30 or 6. We're not going to get them played, and, we have to have that. And, we're talking about trying to do some other things, but, again, this is all going to be raised money, and it's going to be over some time process or whatever, but the lights are very important to us.
Oh, and just for the community as well.
Oh, for sure, and it's not just tennis. It's the intramurals had a tremendous turnout this fall because of those courts. They walked by and saw that, and then a lot of the community use our courts all the time. Tennis is a great game. I mean, it's a lifetime sport. You just need one other person to go out and play, and it's fantastic. It's 100 degrees here in the summer. People don't want to play like you and I when it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but they want to come out in the evening when it's a little bit cooler, 7 or 8, and it's quite pleasant at that time. But you got to be able to see the ball.
We're going into Christmas break here before too long. Again, your fall season is over with. Just kind of talk about the off season for your players, what they're going through right now, and then when you really pick things up for full force coming up in the spring semester.
Yeah, we're finishing up this week with our workouts. We're just about done. Tomorrow's the last day, actually. I'm sure our athletes are happy about that. They're trying to concentrate on schoolwork and getting their grades and so forth. Most of them are doing pretty well. And then when we come back, first week of school or whatever, we're right back into practice and so forth. But right now I'm just watching some basketball and looking forward to watching Northeastern play Northwest tomorrow.
All right. Well, Mark, thanks a lot for being with us. And, again, congratulations. Have some of your players recognized within the region in ITA here.
Thank you, John, and Merry Christmas to you.
And you too. Again, that is the head coach of the Northwest Missouri State Bearcat men's and women's tennis teams, Mark Rosewell. We'll come back and turn our attention to women's basketball right after this time. Again, we are broadcasting live from Carson Sports Grill in downtown Maryville. Back with more after this on the KXCV KRNW Bearcat Coaches Show.
And welcome back into Carson Sports Grill, downtown Maryville, Northwest Missouri State Bearcat Coaches Show here on KXCV KRNW. I'm Matt Tritton, now sitting down with Northwest Missouri State freshman point guard Jaelyn Haggard. Jaelyn, appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Freshman year from just down the road in St. Joseph, 45 minutes away. Far enough you can get away from home, but if you got to get back, it's all right.
For sure, yes.
Early on, just your thoughts on being on campus, kind of acclimating not only as a student but also on the basketball court.
It was an easy transition for me. Like I said, I have really awesome teammates, so they made it super comfortable, and they all took us all under their wings. So it's been a blast. I'm having an awesome time, and I'm really looking forward to getting into the bulk of the season.
Coming in as a student, it's kind of like a full-time job, taking on the course load, playing a sport, essentially a full-time job, going through all that as a freshman and also coming in as a starter as well. What are your thoughts as far as coming out, getting prepared? Is it what you expected to be? Is it a little bit more in that transition process?
It's definitely a different pace than it was in high school, but I didn't really know what my expectations were. I didn't know what my role was going to be, but I knew that I was going to come in and work hard. And Sheel's been super awesome, and so I've been doing what I can just as a freshman leader to try and help do what I can to contribute for the team.
Did you kind of have your eye on Northwest Missouri State the whole time, or were there a few other schools talking to you?
I had a couple places, but Northwest was definitely the top of my list the whole time. The campus was awesome, and it just felt like home away from home. And the girls, became my best friends the second that I got on campus. The coaches were awesome, so I fell in love with it the second that I got up here.
Was there any thoughts of trying to play basketball and softball?
I thought about it, yeah, but I had some advice that it was going to be pretty tough. So basketball was my first love anyway, so I just went with it.
That's good. That's good. Well, coming in and starting as a freshman, you're 6 games now into your career at Northwest Missouri State. Take me through that first weekend in Bolivar of kind of getting those jitters out and how far you've come to getting into conference play now.
I know for me and probably all of us freshmen, we were all pretty nervous just because, we were kind of thrown into the fire a little bit. We have a new team, a young team. But you know what, we came out and we didn't start the way we wanted to, but we definitely have higher goals and expectations as far as the rest of the season goes. But But yeah, it's been super fun, and like I said, the pace is way faster, but it's easier to just get into the the roll of things, just to get in and start and get going.
I know through last year, Coach Scheel's kind of trying to find that perfect ball handler, that person that can bring the ball up, be that dedicated point guard each and every game, and it rotated a little bit at times last year, but from day one, you've stepped in and taken the ball and done a great job with that. I know he's been very pleased, and a few growing pains that every young player has going through, but what's the pressure like of coming in and taking that workload on of you're a freshman, but as a point guard, you're that floor general?
He asked me just this summer, he was like, are you comfortable taking that point guard position? And I took the challenge, and I was nervous at first because, that's – you're out there directing plays and trying to help people figure it out, and I'm trying to figure it out myself still. But, I had leaders like Macy and Tanya who helped, get me comfortable and acclimated with just getting into the flow of things. So I was nervous, but I'm trying to stay as confident as possible.
Now, Macy's been a little bit banged up early in the season, but progressively getting a few more minutes each and every game. But someone that has already played a couple of seasons, a lot of games are freshman and sophomore year. What's that relationship been like? Has that been pretty easy once you step foot on campus?
Yeah, my visit up here, actually, we hit it off immediately. And she's definitely a presence on the floor and off the floor. So I kind of look to her just for advice as far as leadership goes. And she's been a friend on and off the court, so she's an awesome person to lean on and rely on for help just throughout the game.
And you mentioned Tanya as well, coming in, leading the team with 14.8 points per game. You're right behind her, about 13.7. Feel like that nice dynamic duo kind of building up there with yourself and Tanya?
We're definitely starting to feed off each other a little bit more. So I was excited coming in just to get the chance to play with her, because she's a great player. She works hard every day, and she's a voice, and she's definitely a presence. Anytime the ball's in her hands, I'm confident the ball's going in the hole. So it's been really fun getting to play with her, and I'm excited to see what we can do together on the floor.
Now, going through a few weeks back against Peru State, 84-69 win. 19 three-pointers made by the team in that ball game. I believe you hit 7 of them on the way to a program record for a single game. Can you believe that early on? You're already coming out, setting some records, and putting your place in that book?
I had no idea that we were even close to breaking that record, and it was cool, but it definitely kind of put us in a perspective, because I think we got overly confident that game, and we've been trying to shoot our way out of games where we should be getting to the lane more. But just the experience itself, our first kind of home game, it was really fun and really exciting just to know that we accomplished something like that our first time out.
Do you come in with the gunslinger mentality? I mean, you're a good shooter. You can get the ball to the hole, but if you're open, why not take it? And obviously early on it's worked out. Yeah.
So just from high school, I kind of had the green light to just shoot whenever I could, so that's what I did. But I've realized, Scheel's told me time and time again how crucial every possession is. So I'm more cautious with my shots, and if somebody has a better look than I do, I'm obviously going to give them the ball. So we're learning just to take better shots rather than just the first shot that's open.
Well, Jaelyn, we appreciate your time. Good luck against Northeastern State tomorrow.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Jaelyn Haggard, Northwest Missouri State freshman point guard. Northwest taking on Northeastern Thursday night in Bearcat Arena. Tip-off at 5:30. We'll take a quick break and be back with the head coach of the Bearcat women's team, Buck Scheel. You're listening to the Bearcat Coaches Show. Welcome back into the Bearcat Coaches Show on KXCV, KRNW. Matt Tritton talking with Buck Scheel, Northwest Missouri State women's basketball coach, 6 games into the season. Now getting ready to dive into MIAA play. And, Coach, we already talked with Jaelyn a little bit about it, but to kind of feel like just wipe out those first 6 games, open up a new slate going into conference play?
Yeah, that's kind of the wording I used with the team after this past weekend, how really at the end of the day, those games don't really matter. Like they do, obviously, to your overall record and things like that. But when it gets down to it, it's all about what you do in conference. And, that's kind of how we took the approach this week. We've had 3 great days of practice since this past weekend over the break. And so I'm excited to get into tomorrow night just to see how much different we go out and we compete compared to the first several games here.
That last ball game on Saturday against St. Mary, 81-74 loss. The offense gets going. You're able to hang around and beat in it there at the end. Not able to pull it out, though. But losing that ball game right before conference play, can that serve as an eye-opener, not only to the returners, but some of those younger players of, hey, it's not getting easier from here.
Yeah, it definitely was. I thought at times throughout that game we competed really well and did some things really well, but then we also had several possessions where, defensively, one breakdown led to two led to three. And then on the offensive end, there were a few times here and there where, people didn't know what we were running. There wasn't good communication and things like that. And you cannot do that at all and expect to win close ball games and be in ball games, but even more so once you get into conference, just because every possession is a big possession. And so, hopefully, they've kind of realized that this week. We've been extremely competitive against each other this week in practice, and so hopefully, like I said, we can carry that over, just because now it's even a bigger stage with it being a conference game.
And going in with younger players, there's going to be some inconsistencies from game to game, but do you feel like you've seen some flashes from those younger players that if they can stick the course, by the time we get into January and so on, they'll be right where you want them to be?
Yeah, they've definitely shown they've shown some good signs. Even this past week of these past 3 days of practice, we've had some kids just kind of step up and show some growth just from the previous week. And so, I think as long as we can continue to move forward and not go back or not come to a standstill, I think we can eventually get everybody turning on the same page.
Going up against Northeastern coming up tomorrow night at 5:30 Bearcat Arena. What are you seeing out of the Riverhawks come into this ball game?
Well, it'll be a tough game. They've got a new head coach, and they returned several players that have 2 to 3 years of playing experience in the MIAA, as well as adding some new pieces. And they're a lot more aggressive than the previous Northeastern State teams. Offensively, they shoot the ball really well, and they really want to get out, push the ball in transition off of made baskets and missed baskets. And so transition defense is going to be one of our biggest areas that we have to make sure that we have, because up until now, we've had several games where, we've got people getting back, but they're not communicating. We're not stopping the ball. And so that's been one of our areas of emphasis these past couple days and things like that. And so, those are easy stops, easy way to, slow them down and get your defense set. And it just comes down to the hustle, the sprinting, getting back, and communicating with each other, which are the areas that we can control.
Is it a matter of them increasing possessions by trying to get up and down, or do you see them on the defensive side? Because they're giving up 75 a game, they're scoring 75 a game,
yeah.
So defensively they haven't been quite as good. But is that a matter of the breakdowns or the possessions?
I think it's really just the possessions. They want to get out and go. They want to try to get those easy buckets before you have a chance to set your defense up and things like that. And that's the thing, is they're getting it and going off of made and missed, and off of all the film that we've seen through all their games, they've been very, very aggressive. And, they'll pull up for three in transition with and without numbers and things like that. And so you got to get back. Someone's got to pick up the ball. Then you got to pick up those next closest players and make sure you get matched up.
We're talking Northwest women's basketball with head coach Buck Scheel. Also tomorrow night, I guess it's the ugly sweater game. There's also a toy drive. It's a good chance to get a lot of students in there and pack it, especially for the first doubleheader of the year for men's and women's basketball. Is this kind of a fun one, too, to where non-conference games, the games down in Bolivar and so on, to where there's not too many people in the gym. When you get Bearcat Arena full, there's a lot of energy to feed on. Yeah,
I think for tomorrow, with it being that first home conference game, being on a Thursday night, and with the different promotional things going on, I expect to have a probably – our best crowd yet this year, which I think will be good. And we haven't had a game with on the same night as the men's team yet too, and so that always brings in some extra fans as well, just because they want to make sure that they get there and get a great seat to watch Coach Mack do his thing out there, and so that definitely brings some added energy to the game. And we fed off that, I thought, really well last year, and I think with just the group that we have, the group of returners we have, as well as the new kids, they've done a real good job of creating those relationships and friendships with people on campus and with other sports teams and things like that. And so, I'm excited for them for tomorrow to be able to get to experience that.
Talked to Jaelyn Haggard just a moment ago, a freshman point guard on your basketball team. Early on, she's 6 games into her career, but what has she brought for you here early on?
Well, she's very comfortable when she's out there on the floor. Obviously, like you had kind of talked about with her, and we've talked about before, is you're going to have those freshman mistakes and breakdowns, which is natural, but those aren't necessarily breakdowns or mistakes because of nerves, and it's just learning things that she can and can't do with the change of the level and the change of the speed of the game. And so, I thought her adjustment has been well, and she's been really really consistent for the most part with being able to stay out of foul trouble for the longevity of a game. We kind of gotta tell her in the first quarter to really kind of you can't gamble, you just got to play solid and things like that. And she's done a good job of that, but then she's also done a good job of just learning from the returners, learning kind of on the fly and in games, and being able to listen and to start to continue and do a better job of kind of running the team and managing the team, just because it's a lot to throw a freshman out there in the mix at any position. Then you throw them out there as a point guard, and they're expected to also, be a leader along with other upperclassmen leaders and things. And so, I thought she's done a good job of handling it, as best as a freshman can right now. And so I continue just to see her get more comfortable with everything as the season progresses.
She stepped in well. She talked about the upperclassmen kind of helping her along. Macy Williams, a girl who played point guard a lot last year as well. I could see a lot of upperclassmen saying, you need to earn this a little bit more. We're going to make it a little bit harder on you in practice. But it feels like already everybody has kind of just welcomed all these younger players in, and they've taken to it and kind of built that camaraderie up in a hurry.
They have. And, now that I think those relationships and friendships are established, I think our competitive level is starting to go up against each other and in practices and things, just because when for a lot of teams, when they first start to get to know each other, they don't necessarily want to step on anybody's toes or make anybody mad or anything. And now we're at that point where this is the group we got. Everybody knows each other. Everybody positions and things like that. And so now we gotta go out and compete every day, and we got to do a better job of competing every day and carry that over to games. So it's been good to see, and I'm excited just to see the growth of this team as we go day by day.
Take another step forward tomorrow and do it with the energy of that crowd. Should be a fun one against Northeastern State.
That's the plan.
Thank you for joining us on the KXCV KRNW Bearcat Coaches Show. As always, you can find more exclusive interviews with our guests over at our YouTube channel by searching KNWT Channel 8. As always, you can go to KNWT's Facebook page to find the best episode from this series and many more episodes from other great KNWT content right here on Channel 8. We thank you for joining us all year long right here on the KXCV KRNW Bearcat Coaches Show.